Alright guys, so here's the review of the Baltany S5045. So, it comes in the usual Baltany packaging as you've come to expect. So I'm not going to go into detail on this. We'll quickly get this out of the way and get right down into the watch. And here it is. And as you come to expect from Baltany, yep, it's another military style watch. It's what they're really good at, it's what they're known for, and this one is no exception. So before we get down into it properly, let's go over the dimensions on this. So we've got a diameter of 39mm, a thickness of 12.1, lug width of 20, and then the all-important lug to lug is coming in at 46.8. So some pretty nice dimensions there. Kind of in that sweet spot with that 39mm, I think, for a lot of people. Not too big, not too small. When it comes to the weight on this NATO strap that I've got it on, it's coming in at 72 grams. But they also do it on another strap option, which is a leather one. So I'll quickly show you what that's like now. So if you go for the leather strap option, this is what it's going to look like. This is on another Baltany that I've reviewed previously. So I'm fairly certain this is the exact kind of strap you're going to get. And if you haven't seen the review of this one, I'll leave a link to it up on the top. But let's get back to the other watch now. And let's take a closer look at the details on this. Let's start with the dial, get a zoom in on that. So you can see we've got quite a bit going on here. So you've got the 3 sub-dials. You've also got those minutes instead of the actual hours on there, kind of like a Flieger almost. And then we've got the date window at the 3 o'clock, the Baltany Chronograph. So there's quite a lot going on, quite a crowded dial. I'm not normally a fan of this kind of overly cluttered dial myself, but I think they've just about pulled this off. I think it still works. And as I said, it's almost Flieger-esque along with that triangle at the top there, and obviously those minutes instead of the hours, as I mentioned earlier. So, in terms of the actual sub-dials, the one at the 9 o'clock is the 12 hour. Then we've got the date at the 3 o'clock, obviously. And then, when it comes to the other sub-dials, you've probably noticed we've got the ticking second hand on that sub-dial just above the 6. And then we've got the sub-dial at the top, just below the 12, or that triangle in this case, which is the 60-minute chrono. So everything is printed, nothing applied, and that applies to those sub-dials as well. So fully printed. When it comes to the hands, you can see we've got a nice high polish on all of them. Really nicely done. And that also applies to the ones on the sub-dials too. So nice attention to detail there. But now let's zoom out and talk about the rest of the watch. When it comes to the case finishing, we've got a really nice bead blasted case finish. And we've got a nice curvature to this case as well, so it will help conform to wrist really well. You can also see we've got an unsigned ground there, and same with the pushers. Quickly flick around to the other side, and you can see, again, just really nicely finished case. In terms of the case back, just quickly get this out of the way, and you can see we've got a completely sterile case back, as well as the sticker on the back that I'll quickly take off now. And we've got a screw down case back there, and we've also got 100 meter water resistance, so that helps with that too. So quickly pop this back in, and then we'll get back down to the rest of it. When it comes to the rest of this NATO strap, the hardware on it, we've got a slight mismatch. It's not actually bead blasted, it's just brushed, but it kind of matches. It's not too bad. But now, let's check out what the crystal's like on this. See whether we've got a sapphire or a mineral. Using the trusty diamond selector too. And yep, we've got sapphire crystal, which is always good to see. And when it comes to that crystal, we've actually got an ever so slight curve on it. It's not completely flat, which you can see now if I just turn it on the side slightly. So you can see, as I said, ever so slight curve on it, which again, I do really like. Let me know down in the comments, do you prefer curved or flat crystals? You're probably wondering what the lume's like on this, so let's check that out now too. So you can see we've got a bit there already, but let's charge it up, give it a proper chance. And there we go. So you can see, pretty impressive lume on this, and pretty interesting lume profile as well. Not your usual. So we've actually got a mixture of different lumes on here. We've got BGW9, as you can see with that ice blue, and then we've got that yellowy kind of green lume on the hands and on the hour markers. So with the lume on that, they call it retro lume, so I'm assuming it's some kind of old radium style kind of photina almost, something like that. So not actually C3. But it's still pretty good for what it is. And in terms of the application, you can see it's consistent across the hands and the indices, despite having different lume profiles. So that is quite nice. And I just love the way you can see the light reflected on the inside of that crystal bouncing around. Just a really cool look to it. And you can probably also see as well, we've actually got lume on those hands, on those subdials, which is a nice touch. Do like that. And when it comes to the longevity of the lume on this, it's pretty good. It's up there with most other Baltany watches. Better than you'd expect for what is a fully printed dial. They always have a good amount of lume on their watches, on their dials. They don't skimp. So this one is no exception. There is a slight difference between the lume on the hands and the green on the dial with the hour markers. That will fade slightly quicker on the dial, obviously because it's just printed, whereas the hands have got a bit more surface area. But other than that, it's pretty good, as you've come to expect from Baltany. So now, let's talk about the movement on this. So we've actually got a VK67 in this. So quickly show you in action. So unscrew the crown. Pop it out once. Then we can change the date. Pop it out again. You can see the second hand stop, so we've got hacking. And then obviously we can just change the time. All works well. No issues at all there. Second hand starts again. And then obviously we just screw it back down. Plenty of grip on this crown. Then when it comes to the pushers, we've also got screw down pushers as well, so quickly unscrew them. Make sure you fully unscrew them so they actually work properly, otherwise they won't press down properly if they're not fully unscrewed. So if we press this top one, then we can see the chrono hand is going. And then obviously press that one again, and that will stop it. And then press the one at the bottom to reset, and then it just snaps back. When it comes to the alignment on this, on mine it is ever so slightly off. But you can only really notice it when you're zoomed in this much, otherwise you can't really tell. So I'm fine with that. So after you've been using the chrono, obviously don't forget to screw those pushers back down. Obviously, if you're going to leave them open, that's going to have issues when it comes to water resistance if you do get this wet. Obviously, you're not going to go swimming with it really, but it's best to make sure you always screw them back down when you're done with them, because you wouldn't want to be wrecking your watch like that. So all that's left to do now is show you what it's like on wrist, and then we'll wrap this up. And this is how it wears on my 7-inch wrist. So, it does wear really nicely. Obviously you probably noticed I'm wearing this NATO strap a little bit differently than usual. I always wear them with the bulk underneath. Not really the biggest fan of NATO straps, so if I'm going to wear one, this is the way I tend to wear them. Just has a nice clean look, I think. And with the weight underneath, it just helps to balance out the head of the watch, I think. But let me know, how do you tend to wear yours? Are you a fan of NATO straps? Or would you be going for the leather option? So when it comes to the rest of the watch, I do really like it, especially that dial. Yeah, it is quite cluttered. At first I thought, I wasn't sure I was going to like this one, but it's definitely growing on me. The more I wear it, the more I love it. And I do like the little polished details on those hands. Just adds a little bit of interest. When it comes to the actual case, wears really nicely as well, because those curved lugs just conforms to your wrist, hugs it. When it comes to issues I've got with this, there's not really any. The only one I've really got is, would have been nice to have the bead blasted matching hardware on the NATO strap. Perhaps add the Baltany brand into it, but that's pretty much it. Really nice bead blasted case, really good lume for a fully printed dial, and then that movement as well. So that's it for this one guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.